My name is Dominic Garcia. I'm a musician. I am uh, a teacher. I teach. I'm in education. I'm a performer. I'm a percussionist. First and foremost, I am a father. I am a son. I am an uncle. Yeah, I'm a family man. I play music. Can never get enough of one single instrument. So I play many, as you can see. I have lots of instruments here. My balafone. I have a whole assortment of guitars. You can see them back there. Over here is my. So this is like my studio space downstairs. Um, I'm also a dog owner. You can hear the
Gotta love
dogs barking
them.
in the back. They're probably barking at the postman. But
Classic.
yeah, I just started teaching at a Waldorf school. I teach ukulele. I teach percussion. I do after school programs um, with an organization called BTU Arts. Bigger than it stands for Bigger Than Us Arts, and we're a nonprofit organization. We do after school programs and we do community outreach, and we support positive forms of expression. And Yeah, I'm a composer, I'm a performer, and an instructor. I'm also an instrument repair guy. I build drums and I repair them, I refurbish them, and I'm just starting to get into repairing and building stringed instruments. So I try to keep my hands busy. My daughter is 20 years old and she goes to UC Davis. She's a rather um, successful student, to say the least. She got herself a full ride, and I'm a single parent, so I've been raising her since she was about 4 years old, and her mom lives in a different country. She lives in Japan, um, but through the years, she's occasionally met with her mom and stuff. So I totally support whatever her mom does, and my daughter going out to see her, and because I believe that her mom needs to know who she is as well. So um, so there's no hard feelings on that, but yeah. That. Oh yeah, that's me too. I'm a founding member of the Deftones. We started the group in 1989, I think. Yeah, I'm that old. But yeah, we started out the group, and a lot of people will say, "Hey, how come you're not playing with them anymore? Why did you quit the band?" And this and that. And it's like, well, I wouldn't be who I am now, and I wouldn't have. I mean, my life would have been totally different had I stayed, with the group. And um, one of the most, one of the most, I guess, one of the most compelling reasons I think is to think about what would have become of me had I stayed there. But I also am a very proud person, and I'm really like I've always been about where my heart is and where my true feelings are, and I've been always proud of my own of my own dignity, and I think I probably would have had to abandon that um, in order to stay And I was just like, no, I'm one of those kids that always stood up for himself and never was afraid to, stand up to any bullies or anybody that was like trying to punk me or something like that. Um, but it's really cool to see the success that the band has come to, and they're still experiencing, because that was that was basically one of my childhood dreams, was to play in the band and form the band and become a legend, which they are. um and so I'm very proud of the work that they've done. I've done a couple of shows with them, and I see all the hard work that they put into, these productions. And then I played with the Tones for a while, and it was like, yeah, this is my band, And when when the bass player spot for Fallacy opened up, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go play bass with my buddy Abe, because that was the thing. Like, it was really cool to play bass with the drummer that's really strong drummer. And it's like one of the things as a bass player is to be playing with the strong drummer, and the rhythm section is just super solid. And so I went to that group.
On this Friday, once again.
And then I was thinking, oh, I'm like a studio musician, I'm just going to be in both bands, I'm going to be a hog, right? And so i um and so i i I was kind of playing with both bands for a little while, and then I found out that Stefan, the guitar player, had quote unquote kicked me out of the band, and now John Taylor, this other drummer, was going to take my place. And I guess they toured and they played along, and John Taylor played with them for a while and like really paid some crazy dues with them. But I guess John Taylor wasn't funky enough. Um, and so they let him go, and like there was hella drama between like the singer and John. And like I heard at one point the singer had like taken a chair and like thrown it at him while he was behind his drum set, and just all this ugly stuff. Um, and so John left the group, and then Abe started playing back with them because Fallacy just kind of went to crap, because they hired, I guess one of the guitar players was like totally on it. And I don't know if like they were all like methed out, but like I hated that shit. Like, I didn't I didn't partake in that. And they kind of kept it secret from me anyway. But they hired this manager who was just like totally crazy. And like I would get so mad because at the end of each gig, this guy would be yelling at the top of his lungs to the management of the venues. And I'm like, well, I don't want this guy to be my manager, because he's being an asshole um to everywhere we go. It's like he's always screaming at the top of his lungs, and I don't want to be represented like that. um I don't want to have a representative like that. And the dude would always like jump down my throat, and I was just like, fuck you, what are you gonna do, kick me out? Go ahead, I don't care. But anyways, um so what happened was, as soon as that had went to crap, then I got in this other band, which I really liked and enjoyed playing with them. They were a lot of fun. I got to play bass. And I don't know, it was just getting kind of old. And then I took this in college. I took this world music class, and I started like falling in love with like music from all around the world, like from Africa. And then when we like toward the end of the class, we got into like salsa music. And Latin music. And I kind of had this I had this kind of like rebirthing of like being like what it's funny because I used to work at the spaghetti factory. And before then I was working at a taqueria, and I didn't know how to speak Spanish at all. Like I didn't know anything about anything. All I knew is my grandparents spoke Spanish. My grandpa, he was accordion player in a norteño band, um, and they all spoke Spanish. My parents spoke a little bit of Spanish, but none of the grandkids could. No, we're all gringos. We spoke English from California, and so we were. And so while I took that class and I started like reconnecting with the music and the rhythms and the drums, the congas, and just being like, oh wow, this is really cool. I really love this, And then I had this kind of like awakening, working in the taqueria and learning how to speak Spanish in the kitchen. And like within the span of like 2 years, I was speaking fluent Spanish. um, and then on top of that, I was into like salsa music. So um, I started like gigging and like getting to know a lot of people in the Afro Caribbean community, like the Puerto Ricans, the Cubans, um, Colombians, like all these folks that are Venezuelan, like they were totally into salsa music, and that's kind of like my gateway. But at the same time, it reminded me of all the music that my parents would listen to, like the Santana and um, and like Latin rock, because my dad is from California, so he was into Latin rock, and he rolled with bikers and this and that, and well, same with my mom. My mom's side of the family is where my grandfather, he played music, and I would see them hear their band playing and stuff, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, it sounds like polka, But it was cool because it was live. It was live music, and so I always like had so after I took that class, I kind of went on a mission to rediscover um, my Latino roots, specifically Mexican roots. But at the same time, I was like, wait a minute, I love drums, So I bought a set of congas and I started studying that, and then I started getting into like Afro-Cuban music, and I learned I saw this group called Ebo Okokan, and that means offerings from the heart in Yoruba, which is kind of like a subculture, a subset of uh, of people that were brought to Cuba or taken from the southern Nigeria, the Yoruba, and they kind of reemerged in Cuba with their spiritual belief systems, which involved like lots of drumming. And so um and so I saw this group, and they were playing these traditional rhythms and Afro-Cuban folkloric music, and I just became enamored with the music and the feeling, and just the thought about, my gosh, how did this music survive you know colonialism, and just how did it survive the Atlantic slave trade? Like how did this music, like how do these people know this stuff, and how is it like it exists is in Cuba? How did it grow and exist in Cuba and evolve in Cuba, from this? And so it led me into more of an educational and musicological adventure, to kind of look up and go out and discover new music. Um, and so um, I started learning about it, and then it dawned upon me, hey, I need to learn how to speak Spanish if I'm going to be talking to these people, and learning about what the music meant and this and that. I like my curiosity and um my need and my hunger to learn more about these music and the roots of this music led me to learning how to speak Spanish. I mean, it wasn't easy. I mean, I got ridiculed, and I to this day my Spanish is not really the best, but all my Spanish speaking friends are like, "Oh no, it's perfect. What are you talking about?" Um, but but I really started learning about all these different instruments, and um, I really wanted to be I wanted to be somebody that was a um, that was a that worked on the preservation of these traditions. Like I wanted to be involved with that.